So let's begin with a short guided meditation. For this meditation, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes if it is comfortable. I will assume that you are sitting. And so connect with the chair and gently place both hands on your lap, with one hand supporting the other, feeling the contact of the skin. Allow your arms and hands to yield to gravity, noticing the weight of your hands where they are resting. Observe the sensations of your body sitting, the pull of gravity into your seat, the lift of your body to sit upright. Linger in the sensation of this seated posture, each vertebra stacked on one another in balanced equilibrium. Bring attention to your breathing, the rhythmic cycle of the inhale and exhale. Each inhalation bringing oxygen to every cell in your body, and each exhalation expelling what you don't need. Gently open your eyes and notice the room around you. Notice that you're sitting in the room. Notice where your hands are. Take a look at your hands and extend gratitude to these hands, this body that is continually working to support you in your daily tasks. Thank yourself for allowing this moment of rest for your body, a short but refreshing reset for your nervous system to continue the day more grounded in awareness. Now that was just a 1 to 2 minute pause. And in the weeks to come, I will introduce a new meditation each week. But for today's didactic portion, I would like to teach you Dr. Dan Siegel's hand model of the brain. Now, some of you may have seen this before. I'm going to add on a little bit more information about that today. In particular, what happens when we lose our tempers, when we lose control, or what he likes to call when we flip our lid. So if I take my hand here and I face it towards you, this is sitting in the same direction of the way my brain is sitting in my head, where we have the frontal cortex here, we have the lower parts of the brain. Now, we as a species have not evolved to differentiate and be able to respond differently to different forms of stress. Our systems interpret all stress as threat. And it could be, again, I use this example a lot, you being attacked by an animal is the same kind of threat to your physiologic system as is someone yelling at you or coming to work with an email inbox that's full. Now, so what happens is all these signals that are coming come up through the spinal cord, which is represented by the forearm. It hits the brain stem first. Now, this is the oldest part of the brain. This is what we have in common with reptiles and other animals. It's about 3 million years old. And this is where the fight, flight, freeze, or faint response gets activated. So no matter what kind of stress you happen to encounter, you will always have that activate. It just travels that same way. The next portion of the brain that gets activated is the midbrain, in particular the limbic system, which kind of gets tucked in there. Now, obviously this model is a simplification, but I find it a very useful tool for beginning to understand what's happening to you when you start to feel like you're going to lose control. Then we have the more evolved, so the midbrain is where we house emotion, social connection. This is what we have in common with mammals, so they also call it the mammalian brain. And in particular, the limbic system is where we process fear. So the most evolved portion of the brain is the cortex, so it's the youngest part historically. And we have the cortex, and in particular, the prefrontal cortex. And this is where it allows us to integrate our experience of what's happening outside in the social world, in through the body signals. But this is also the area of the brain that allows us to choose our response rather than becoming overwhelmed by the reactivity. Now, sometimes what happens is that it's too much and you keep, keeping control, but that sometimes it's just too much and then you flip your lid. So these are the moments where you lose your temper, you start yelling, you might throw something. And when we do practices such as meditation, when we begin to embrace conscious living or mindfully living, we are actually getting better at putting our lid back on and keeping the lid on. This area then actually is squirting neurotransmitters down to the lower parts of the brain stem, to calm the areas and say, everything is fine. Things are going to be okay. So I find this really useful to begin with in terms of understanding what we're doing here, like why we're here. We're all here because we want to learn to manage ourselves better. And we all would like to exist a little bit more when we have our lids on. So that is the way we become, interestingly, when we're able to exist a little more here, or the prefrontal cortex, it actually thickens more when we do mindful practices. The structure of our brain actually changes when we engage in these moments. And it can be just little moments scattered throughout the day. It doesn't have to necessarily start as one long sit, which is very difficult to do. It's really about starting to create new habits. And the approach I like to take is very much influenced from my sports medicine practice, where I try to get people to exercise. On how to integrate exercise into your day is not dissimilar, because it's, again, trying to create a new habit. But sometimes in trying to create new habit, you actually have to see what your current habits are, or in some ways unlearn them, because we're, again, also building new neural pathways. We're changing our brain structure, our neural structure. So that's pretty much the didactic portion for today. And what I would like to invite is, if people have questions, drop them into the chat or any comments. And all the sessions will be short like this, just something short to think about, a little didactic kind of teaching. The resources are in the chat if you want to learn about these in more detail. I recommend anything actually that Dr. Dan Siegel has written, a lot of his talks. He does a lot with relating to parenting, which is how I actually came to him, because I was trying to learn how to be a more tolerant parent. There's a question from Karina. Okay. Any free meditation guide? Yes. So one of the ones that I like to use as an app is there's an app called Insight Timer that has a lot of different meditations that you can listen to at varying lengths. There's also Headspace is another one that's popular. If you also go to the UCLA mindfulness website, they have many there. Interestingly, during COVID, if anything, the amount of free resources that are available has really just exploded. And what I would recommend is trying a few different ones out, because sometimes it's even small things like the way the person talks, or the pace, or the content of how they're saying things that may or may not resonate with you. And I also hope that during these sessions, you begin to find what's going to work for you, and knowing that that also changes depending on where you are at life. And I see myself as a teacher who likes to curate a variety of different perspectives. And my goal over the coming years is to actually share with you many different perspectives on how to build a sustainable mindfulness practice for yourself. I hope that answers your question, Karina. And if anyone has any others, we do have a couple minutes left. And otherwise, one other thing, I'll close this if no one else is volunteering anything, is one thing that I've been doing around the hospital here at St. Joe's is teaching what I call the mindful hand hygiene routine. And in this, it's taking something we do every day, which is hand hygiene, and using it as a moment where you just focus on the sensation of your hands. So to close, I'd like to invite you to, again, by noticing that you're sitting, if it's comfortable, close your eyes, feeling the contact of your body against the support of your seat, bringing awareness to your posture, and observing if you're holding any tension in your body. And if you are, that's okay. It is what it is. Just notice it. You don't have to change anything. Now bring awareness again to the rhythm of your breathing. And in this meditation where if we had hand sanitizer, we'd be placing it in our palm, feeling the contact of the liquid with the hand, the coolness, and perhaps feeling the weight of it. This can also be done with lotion. But then taking whatever's in your hands or just rubbing the palms together and feeling the contact of the skin, feeling the web spaces, the backs of the hands, noticing the contours and textures of your fingers, both of your thumbs, the hardness of your fingertips, the boniness of your knuckles, the shapes of your wrists. Just staying in the sensation of the hands and wrists. And then holding their hands out in front of you to allow a moment of just recognizing this pause you've given yourself. And each time you do this, you boost your health. Each brief practice helps you continue your day more grounded, present, and increasingly resilient. So thank you for attending today. And the homework I'm going to give is just this week, if you can just spend noticing times where maybe you're not keeping your lid on, or maybe there's lots of stuff bubbling in, it's just really feeling like it's hard to contain. Just noticing that. And feeling what you feel in your body, what kind of sensations might be coming up. And seeing if you can catch moments where you are actually able to notice your state. You don't have to do anything with it. The homework again for this week is just noticing what thoughts are going through your head. Is there a lot of negative self-talk? You know, is there something that keeps spinning in your head? And what part of you is upset about that? And maybe being able to just notice and separate those out and see if you can be an observer of yourself for this week, a few moments throughout. And I thank everyone again for attending. And I look forward to seeing you at the next session. And again, so it's Tuesday mornings at 6:45 a.m. and Thursday afternoons at 12:15. Have a great day, everyone.